It's Thursday, November 3rd, 2022, and this is FRCMedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. The city needs your help in selecting a new logo. Election Day is less than a week away. We take one last look at some of the candidates and issues facing voters. And two local schools spread positive messages through the painting of murals. All this and more coming up. After months of soliciting submissions, the city of Fall River has unveiled the 6 designs voters will consider to serve as its new logo. Mayor Paul Coogan says over 200 entries were submitted.
Who came from everywhere: Kentucky, Indonesia, elementary schools in Fall River, public schools, public high schools. We got them from all over the place, and it was very, very, very difficult for the committee to nail it down to these final 6. And there are going to be so many places where you'll be able to vote. It's going to be open till November 21. People can vote online. Go to fallriverma.org/contest. It'll be on all the social media sites. We're going to be asking people to share it so that we can get a great cross-section of our community to weigh in on this very, very important decision. I have about 2 or 3 favorites, but as far as I'm concerned, anyone that wins is fine with me because they all look very, very classy and professional.
Viva Fall River Director Patty Rigo was a member of the committee that narrowed the entries to the final 6.
It was really beautiful to see pages and pages of things that represent Fall River in its best possible way. Iconic buildings, to get an idea of what residents and even people outside of the city think about the city. And there were, the obvious ones, the bridge, the gates, but then there were just a lot of other little things. And the thought and the positive intentions that were put into it was really, I think this contest is really just a wonderful way to celebrate that Fall River has an ever-changing identity and we're evolving. We have new, people who are coming from other countries, and it's time for us to put a new logo out there and celebrate, the diverse city that we are.
Mayor Coogan says the new logo will be a key element as the city continues its work on a new website. More information on that progress is expected after the new year. The deadline again to vote for the new city logo is November 21st. Online voting takes place at fallriverma.org/contest. Next Tuesday is Election Day, and according to Election Commission Chair Ryan Lyons, city voters are taking advantage of early in-person voting and mail ballots.
Over the past 2 weeks, we've had about 280 voters who have chosen to vote in person, which is relatively a good turnout in comparison to the September primary, almost double at this point. And all in all, for vote by mail, we have about 8,800 voters who have elected to vote by mail for both elections. And I just want to remind voters they have to return their ballots by Tuesday, November 8th at 8 o'clock. People really have come to appreciate the no excuse vote by mail as well as in person as two options in addition to voting in person on Election Day. So I think it's a great benefit to the public.
Polls on Election Day across 27 city precincts will open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Mr. Lyons says he thinks voter turnout will likely mimic recent state elections.
For a total turnout, I want to say I'm optimistic it's going to be a little more than 35%, which is the typical turnout for a midterm general election. We do have the special election in regards to the MBTA zoning, which only pertains to Fall River voters. So I'm hoping that might drive the turnout past 35%, but I do predict at this point it's going to be roughly on par with 2018 and 2014.
We continue to speak with candidates and supporters and opponents of the ballot questions to help you make informed choices when you vote. Question 2 on this year's state ballot is asking voters to approve a measure that would require a minimum percentage of dental insurance premiums be set aside exclusively for patient care. Dr. Jeffrey Caron, in support of Question 2, says dental insurers should be required to commit as much money to patient care as medical insurers.
In the medical world, medical loss ratios have been established for many years at this point. It was part of Obamacare. It exists in Massachusetts at an 88%. And the way it's established in medicine is that if you pay a certain amount in your premium, the insurance companies are required by law to spend 88% of that premium towards patient care or to refund you the difference, meaning that there are people who've had medical insurance coverage for many years over this point. Every couple of years or so, you might get a check back from your medical insurance at the end of the year. And that is because of the medical loss ratio established. So what we're trying to do is get this established in dentistry as well. So essentially, what we're trying to establish is a medical loss or a dental loss ratio of 83%. And the way that this would work is that if you pay a premium for your employer or individually for dental insurance, the dental insurance company would be required to spend 83% of the premium towards your care.
Doug Rubin, former chief of staff to former Governor Deval Patrick and a consultant for the No on Question 2 campaign, says it's unfair to compare dental insurance with medical insurance since dental insurance is voluntary. He believes the passage of the referendum will have negative market impacts.
There's been a study done by a nationally recognized actuarial firm that's looked at the Massachusetts market, and they've determined that the three of the largest dental insurers in Massachusetts have around a 76% dental loss ratio. It's much higher than what the opponents are saying, and it is close to the 83% number that's in the ballot question. The concern that we have is that a lot of the smaller insurers, the ones that provide low-cost health plans, affordable health plans for small businesses, for lower income residents in Massachusetts, those are the plans that will be hardest hit by this new requirement. And they may either not be able to afford to offer those low-cost plans anymore, or may need to raise premiums significantly in order to be able to present the same services they do now.
Mr. Rubin goes on to say that if passed, the referendum will likely result in significant premium hikes for consumers.
They used a kind of a representative an example where there was an insurance company here in Massachusetts that broke even in terms of profits, was actually able to cut administrative costs by 10%. And even in that scenario, they would have to raise premiums by 38% in order to meet the new thresholds in this ballot question. And what else I would kind of point to on this is that there's been another study done that talked with businesses and consumers here in Massachusetts and asked them if, in fact, premiums do rise by what we've talked about here, what would you do with your dental insurance? And nearly half of consumers in Massachusetts said they would consider dropping their dental insurance. And 90% of employers said they would have to make changes to the way they provide dental insurance to their employees, which means either reducing the employee contribution, reducing benefits to employees, or dropping dental coverage altogether for their employees. So there are potentially big ramifications to a lot of people if this ballot question passes.
Dr. Karen says by passing the referendum, patients will be able to afford dental work they may not have had access to in the past.
Go back to the 1980s, and somebody would have $1,000 annual max for insurance. And that would get a lot of work done back based upon prices of the way things cost back then. But based upon the way things cost now and inflation, that $1,500 or that $2,000 max hasn't matched with inflation. So I think the hope of this would be that insurance companies would increase annual maxes and that would actually provide more care for patients. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be paid or any dentist is going to be paid any more money. They will probably not increase any benefits towards us. They'll just create less barriers and make it easier for patients to get access to care.
The referendum also calls for stricter reporting requirements for dental insurers to ensure they meet that spending threshold.
Well, we've asked multiple times for them to be transparent and to report in that number. They have yet to do this for many years. So I think that's part of the problem, is that if they initially were saying we're going to be transparent to our subscribers and our patients and tell you exactly what we're going to spend towards your care, then they wouldn't have come to this point where we're saying, hey, you're not being transparent, you're not spending patient care, you're keeping a lot of the more money that actually should go to patients and to care. And that's why the ballot question is important now.
Mr. Rubin believes the new reporting requirements will impose an undue burden on dental insurers.
There's already a ton of reporting requirements that dental insurance companies face right here in Massachusetts right now that they have to do. But the specific language for reporting that is in this ballot question, almost word for word, verbatim, was passed in 2010 by the Massachusetts legislature. And then less than a year later, in 2011, it was repealed because there was no practical use for it. And so we've tried this kind of level of reporting requirement here in Massachusetts. The legislature passed it and then determined after it was enacted that it wasn't useful and repealed it. So we've seen this before, and I think most voters, once they understand that and know that, realize that this is not the right thing for them.
Mr. Rubin also says any change in dental insurance coverage should fall under the purview of the state legislature, and if passed, the referendum will set a negative precedent nationwide.
No other state in the country has a dental minimum loss ratio. So other states have looked at it and decided it didn't make sense for their residents. During the Obamacare debate, as I mentioned, they looked at it and decided that it wasn't an appropriate thing to include in Obamacare. And even here in Massachusetts in 2014, there was a special commission on dental insurance that looked at this issue and decided that it didn't make sense right here in Massachusetts and rejected it. And so I would say to you, a lot of people outside of our committee have looked at this issue and decided it wasn't the right way to go.
Dr. Karen says the bottom line is the passage of the referendum will result in better and more cost-effective dental care.
And I think what's happened is that the conversations I have with patients is this is a win for you. This will benefit you in the long run because right now, if they're only paying 60% or 80% of this procedure that you need to have done, maybe this law will tell them they have to spend more money towards it. Maybe you'll get 70% or 90% of coverage, or maybe they'll cover more procedures. The goal of this is to benefit the patient and to give them better access to care. So, in practice, and I'm a pediatric dentist, I would say that I tell parents that, a lot of times that you want to be able to provide the care your child needs and give to them what you can. And insurance kind of becomes a hindrance on that. And, you have other expenses, inflation, everything else is hurting the economy and hurting people. So why should it be that the insurance company gets to keep all the money and you can't get the care you need for your child?
Question 4 on Election Day was recently added to the ballot over the summer. It asked voters whether they support a law passed by the legislature to provide undocumented individuals with the right to obtain a driver's license. The bill was passed over the veto of Governor Charlie Baker. Nicole Malone from Yes on 4 for Safer Roads says the issue was passed with public safety in mind.
The practical reality is that we do have immigrants without status that need to go to work, need to drop their kids off at school, get groceries, make medical appointments. So they are on the roads. So looking at this from a practical standpoint, everyone, when I'm driving on the road with my family, I want to look to the left and I want to look to the right and know that those drivers have passed a road test, that they understand the rules of the road, and that they have a license. And this law is very much backed by law enforcement from across the Commonwealth. We have the support of district attorneys, sheriffs, and the Massachusetts Major Chiefs of Police Association. They unanimously endorsed the Work and Family Mobility Act because it really is common sense and it comes down to public safety.
The new law is slated to take effect in July of 2023. Ms. Malone says the Massachusetts law is drafted based on similar laws in other states across the country, and if implemented, undocumented individuals will be protected against any undue immigration action.
We've had the kind of opportunity to see what has worked and what hasn't in the past and in these other states. And so we were very intentional when putting this legislation together that immigrants were protected, that data sharing wasn't going to kind of affect their well-being, and that really a driver's license was just to basically give you permission to drive on the road. And so I think when we approached this issue, it was with open eyes to make sure that we kind of listened and learned from other states and territories to make sure that we were protecting the people that held these licenses.
Opponents of the referendum questioned whether non-citizens will be automatically enrolled to vote, an option for Bay State citizens. Ms. Malone says that's not the case.
The RMV registers and gives licenses to many people every day, TPS recipients, green card recipients, those 16 and 17-year-olds that cannot vote yet. They still get licenses and it's not an issue. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Tufts University came out with a report that said that's simply not an issue, that the RMV can very much, in fact, handle this pretty much straightforward legislation and this new, addition to their licensure processes. And we're not concerned with that. That's just kind of essentially the opposition attempting to make this a wedge issue when really it's pretty straightforward.
In a number of statewide races, there are candidates representing third parties that are on the ballot. One such case in the race for auditor. Dr. Gloria Caballero Roca is looking to get elected from the Green Rainbow Party. Dr. Caballero Roca came to the United States from Cuba and last year unsuccessfully ran for mayor of Holyoke. She feels the office of auditor is a potential change agent for the Commonwealth.
This is an office that has so much unrealized potential. I think the state auditor, who should be an independent watchdog for the people, is one of those offices that could be reformed, that could be expanded, and not only do audits when it comes to statistics and government regulations, but also when it comes to including the people's voices and concerns to how much the government is really serving the public. Are they securing housing? Are they securing jobs? Are they trying to fix the problems when it comes to green transportation that is also secure, that is also accessible to everybody? Are they funding, which is needed, as my neighbors tell me, funding programs, more programs about mental health and homelessness and people who really need access when it comes to infrastructure because there are people with disability.
Dr. Caballero Roca understands she faces long odds in getting elected as a third-party candidate, but she hopes that her message of helping underserved regions of the state will be heard.
Central Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, the Berkshires, Eastern Massachusetts is part of a commonwealth. And for me, common, the word common, reminds me of the commons, So this is where we all should be pitching in with ideas from across the board, respecting each other, being reasonable to each other, and understand that this Western Massachusetts and Fall River and Holyoke, we are not only mill cities, we are people who live in these cities that also have a saying when it comes to programs that need to be fixed and corrected. Because at the end of the day, we are at the receiving end of those policies. And we as a people across the board, we know how the problems should be fixed because we are receiving, we are not receiving all the services that we deserve.
Again, we've had the great opportunity to speak with a number of candidates and discuss the ballot initiatives that you'll be facing when you go to the polls. If you need some help deciding, please visit our special Election 2022 webpage at frmedia.org/election 2022. The unemployment rate in Fall River fell sharply in September. The jobless rate fell 0.6 of a point to 4.7%, down from 5.3% in August. Unemployment in September of 2021 was at 8%. Communities around Fall River and comparable gateway cities all saw their rates fall last month. The state's unemployment rate fell 0.2% to 3.4%. We will have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Health Unit Coordinator, Nursing Assistant. South Coast Health System, located at 363 Highland Avenue, is looking for a full-time Health Unit Coordinator, Nursing Assistant to perform a variety of office secretarial and patient care unit services duties. Job number 177-369-89. Culinary Arts Lab Assistant. Bristol Community College, located at 777 Ellsbury Street, is looking for a part-time culinary arts lab assistant to assist in the day-to-day operations of the culinary arts kitchen in preparing instructional materials used during kitchen laboratory work. Job number 177-45841. Rates and Regulatory Senior Analyst. New England Gas Company, located at 36 5th Street, is seeking a full-time rates and regulatory senior analyst to provide support to the manager of regulatory strategy and provides analytical work of moderate complexity in support of regulatory proceedings and decisions. Job number 176-69450. Front desk receptionist, Kevin P. Kilroy, DDS, PC. A family dental practice located at 654 Weedamo Street is looking for a full-time front desk receptionist. For more information, call 508-673-2245. St. Anne's Credit Union, located at 2031 South Main Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. E-commerce coordinator, job number 177-35692. Help desk technician, job number 177-35670. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Another big piece in the revitalization of the city's waterfront takes place Saturday as Fall River officially dedicates the city pier.
Obviously, our plan going forward is to get some docks on the north side of that pier, which we're working on now. Already working to improve it, to make it more accessible for the residents and people that want to go up. We didn't have any time to put any events on it this year, but next year we anticipate having some fun events out there for the residents and the children, and it's going to be great. It's, as you said, that's been an eyesore for as long as I've been around this city. And again, I hope people get a chance to come down and enjoy it. It's really spectacular, and it is another key piece in our waterfront.
The pier will be dedicated to former state senator Tom Norton.
He had a strong history along the waterfront, strong history with our veterans groups, a strong history of working to make Fall River a better place to live. And that's how I grade people. What did they do for the city? Tom was a fixture here for a long time. He was a state rep, and then he became a senator. I think it's fitting that we give him a tribute. I mean, we named parts of Heritage Park for Representative Carrere. And again, I think it's a small token of our appreciation for a man that did a lot for the city and a lot for his whole district.
2 city schools last week played host to the creation of murals that promote the message of love and unity. The mural project was held at Henry Lord Community School and Talbot Middle School, and was organized by Coaching for Change, a regional organization that connects college students with schools to provide mentoring and support to students in urban school districts like Fall River. Coaching for Change has had a presence at Henry Lord for nearly 6 years, supporting after-school activities that focus on college and career readiness. Co-founder Peter Berman invited New York artist John Westbay to lead the mural project. He says Mr. Westbay's community artwork promoting love and respect can make a positive influence on middle school age students.
His kind of whole message around spreading everything with love, all the hearts that you'll see that are being painted on this wall, really is the kind of school culture initiative and support that we want to be able to help bring to our school partners. Everything that we do is about helping students feel more connected, loved, and included at school. And so by being able to help make the school feel like a warm place that they want to be and feel welcome and feel like they're seen and loved and represented on their own walls is exactly the kind of initiative that we want to be a part of.
Mr. Westbay says he was excited to work with the students while also sharing the benefits of art as a career.
My artwork started through street art, through this kind of love logo that you see here. And they told me that part of their mantra is love works, so that seemed seamless. Over there, I'll be doing 2 big hearts as well in their school colors, black and gold. But yeah, it's what I've been doing. It's the hearts and the love, And so it's usually pretty seamless to work into like schools and public places because it's, positive stuff. It's inspiring and uplifting. It's possible, my whole life I was drawing and was never really encouraged that it could be like Pete said earlier, a career path, and it can. I think now more than ever it can, and that's really my biggest message is that now, more than ever, every company needs a graphic designer, logo design, fine arts, tattoo artists, all kinds of arts are in demand now, and you can, if you want to, you could do it, and just got to work hard. It's a lot of hard work, but it can be done.
Henry Lord's principal, Dr. Amy Bronhard, says the school's relationship with Coaching for Change has been one of the elements that are making a difference in the recent turnaround at the once underperforming school. She goes on to say the mural project keeps the school's mantra of love works and be the one at the forefront of students and teachers.
We were just really looking for adults that wanted to be the one for kids. And if you couldn't show that loved work, then just come and be the one. And it was either mantra that both bled into really just making change for kids. And so as we started our turnaround work 6 years ago, believe it or not, Coaching for Change was one of our instrumental partners in the after-school work that we did with our kids, really trying to expose our South End kiddos to college and careers and students who look like them and are following different career pathways in college aspirations. We have an opportunity for families to see the work and generations of families to see the work. Our kids will be able to come back to Lord and see their experience with Coaching for Change and also with the art program of John. His message was really compelling and the kids were excited to be a part of the mural here at Henry Lord. And that bulletin board has been something to be a challenge for us as a school to keep updated, to keep timely, and so to put a permanent fixture of images that really reflect the work that we've done here, Be the One, Love Works, through the messaging of our kids and their own artistic ability, I think is going to be a really cool thing.
Art students at both schools played a role in contributing to the creation of the murals. Those we spoke to enjoyed taking part in the process and are proud that the message being shared will have a lasting impact throughout the school year.
I like how it represents love, because if you don't have love, you'll be lonely in life.
The best part of this project was knowing that this is expressing not only something for me, but for something for other people. It's going to be really neat because it's like, for the rest of the school year, it's not only going to represent half the kids here, but it's also when people walk back and forth through this board, they're going to remember, oh yeah, like that's where I sat down and was able to express all of my emotions on a board. So I feel like it's going to really lift up a lot of spirits.
Every time they see my drawings, they're like, great job.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. If you haven't done so yet, please vote before next Tuesday, and we'll talk to you with the results on Thursday.